Have you heard the story of the fish that got away? Every time the story is told, what happens to the fish? It gets bigger and bigger. Every time we relate negative experiences, do you know that they grow? And who would want them to grow? Some people are relating them every day and they're getting bigger and bigger. It's what, like one lady said to me, I'm just getting sick of the sound of it. I know he suffered in the war, but I can't bear to hear it anymore. And with that negativity, what's growing? All the little thorns. And that man was beginning to get physical ailments because of these negativity thorns in his brain.
Let's be real. Getting older is inevitable. But getting old? That's a choice. And somewhere between your last birthday and right now, you might have picked up some sneaky habits that are aging you faster than cheap wine in sunlight. We're not talking about wrinkles. Those are just proof you've survived this long. This is about the stuff nobody warns you about, the unconscious things making you seem older, crankier, and more invisible than you actually are. Take Annie. She's 68, sharp as a tack, and somehow became the woman people politely avoid at family gatherings. Not because she's unpleasant, but because she's accidentally mastered all 10 of these aging accelerators. The kicker? She had no idea she was doing them. The good news? Fixing this isn't about Botox or pretending you're 25. It's about ditching the daily habits that are dimming your light. In this video, we will help you identify these habits so that you can start working on them right away. Before we start, drop in the comments from where you are watching this video and what health topic you would like to see in the next video. Also, don't forget to subscribe, because there are a lot of videos waiting in which we reveal to you the secrets of how to grow older as an elegant woman. Ready to rewrite the rules of aging? Let's start with the most damaging habit of all. Habit number 1, neglecting self-care. Annie didn't see it happening. Little by little, she stopped caring about how she looked. She wore the same comfortable outfit every day. Haircuts waited until her hair got too long. Makeup? Forgotten in a drawer? Here's the hard truth. When you stop seeing yourself, so does everyone else. The waiter ignores you, and the store clerk helps someone else first. It's not about being old. It's about acting like you don't matter anymore. At first, Annie told herself her appearance didn't matter. I'm just being practical, she thought. But when she saw pictures of herself, she barely recognized the woman in the shapeless outfits and the neglected display. Then one day, Annie changed one small thing. She put on lipstick before going to the store. Just a simple red one she hadn't used in years. Something funny happened. The cashier smiled at her. A neighbor said she looked nice. Most importantly, Annie felt better about herself. Small changes made a big difference. Wearing earrings instead of going bare, choosing a colourful shirt over the usual grey one, and putting on a pair of well-fitting jeans instead of the usual stretchy pants. People began treating Annie better, not because she looked younger, but because she looked like she cared about herself again. Try this today. Pick one thing to change, just one. Wear your favourite necklace. Put on that nice shirt you never wear. Fix your hair differently. See how it makes you feel. See how people respond. You don't need to look like a movie star. Just look like you, the best version of yourself, because you still matter. You're still here. And the world should see that too. Let's move on to the next habit. Habit 2, negative thinking and constant complaining.
You see, a negative thought may come into our mind. And AA say this, I think it's well said. We have no say over the first thought, but we have total say over every thought after that. You see, a thought is like a breeze. Notice that this nerve cell is like a tree, and here are all the little branches. A breeze comes in, and it wafts through the dendrites, the branches of the tree. And it is our choice whether we keep that thought or we let it keep going. And if we keep that thought, it's basically like we build a little nest in the dendrites. And if it's a negative thought, Dr. Carolyn Leaf, in her book, Who Switched Off My Brain, she shows how little thorns can grow in between the dendrites when we entertain or cherish negativity. And those little thorns have the ability to damage the tissues. These are your psychosomatic diseases.
Annie didn't realize how negative she'd become until her granddaughter said, "Grandma, you always see the bad in everything." It shocked her. When did she become this person who constantly complained about aches, criticized modern life, and found flaws in every situation? This negativity and shift towards constant complaining sneaks upon many older adults. It starts small, remarking about aches and pains, criticizing how things have changed, focusing on what's wrong rather than what's right. Before we know it, we've become prisoners of our own pessimism. Scientists tell us this negativity bias is natural. Our brains are wired to notice problems more easily as we get older. But that doesn't mean we're powerless against it. One day, Annie started with a small change, limiting herself to one real complaint per conversation and listing 3 good things each morning. The changes surprised her. Her knee pain didn't disappear, but talking about it less made it bother her less. Her grandchildren didn't call more often, but when they did, conversations became warmer. She discovered that while life isn't perfect at any age, focusing only on the bad makes everything feel worse.
One girl said, "I get negative thoughts coming in all the time." I said, "Join the club. We all do. It's what we do with them. Let them keep going. Don't let them build a nest in your dendrites, which causes thorns to develop, which can be very damaging." One lady said it to me. She said, I like to think of it like this. We've got our remote control from the television. Something comes on that we don't want, we just change channel. We just change channel. We just change channel. And that's what you can do with negative thoughts. Just change channel, just change channel. And remember, practice makes perfect and practice makes permanent.
Negativity is like bad weather. We can't stop it, but we don't have to live in it. Every complaint we drop lightens our mood. Every positive thought we nurture makes life brighter. It's not about pretending everything's fine. It's about refusing to let problems define our days. Try this. Notice how often you complain today. Tomorrow, try reducing it by just 10%. Small changes in what we say can transform how we feel. Habit number 3. Stuck in the past. Annie loved telling stories about the good old days. At first, people enjoyed hearing about how things used to be. But over time, she noticed eyes glazing over when she started another sentence with, "Back in my day." Her grandchildren would quickly check their phones. Friends changed the subject. Without realizing it, Annie had become someone stuck in the past. The problem wasn't that Annie's memories weren't interesting. The problem was she had stopped being curious about today's world. While she talked about record players and handwritten letters, her grandchildren lived in a world of smartphones and video calls. One day, Annie's granddaughter asked her to try video chatting. "It's easy, Grandma," she said. After some grumbling, Annie gave in. That first awkward video call changed everything. Suddenly, she could see her great-grandbabies smile every week instead of waiting for visits. She could join family celebrations even when she couldn't travel. Annie learned an important lesson. Living in the past doesn't keep you young, it makes you irrelevant. The world keeps changing whether we like it or not. We don't have to love every new thing, but staying curious keeps us connected to the people who matter most. Try this today. Ask a younger family member to show you one new piece of technology, maybe how to send photos or use video calling. Don't worry about looking silly. What matters is showing you still want to be part of their world, Habit 4. The invisible power of posture.
If someone has poor posture and they're slouched like this and they're not breathing with their abdominal muscles, that diaphragm can get weak. And when that diaphragm gets weak, it also can weaken the cardiac sphincter. So how do we strengthen our diaphragm? We stand tall, we stand straight, and we use our abdominal muscles in the breathing process. Your abdominal muscles are all connected to your spine. So when your abdominal muscles are strong, they automatically will pull your spine straight. So tight clothes, slouching, weak abdominal muscles, they can all contribute to a weak diaphragm, which can contribute to the condition called reflux.
Annie used to walk with her head high, but somewhere along the way, she started looking down at the ground. Her shoulders curled forward like she was carrying invisible weights. When she saw herself in a store window one day, she barely recognized the hunched woman shuffling along. That wasn't how she felt inside. So why did she look like she'd given up? Good posture does more than make you look better. It changes how people treat you. Standing tall makes you appear younger and more confident instantly. Waiters notice you first. Strangers hold doors open. Even doctors listen more carefully when you sit up straight rather than slump in your chair. Annie began practicing small fixes throughout her day. Waiting in line, she'd imagine a string pulling her head toward the sky. Watching TV, she'd sit forward instead of sinking into the couch. Within weeks, her back pain lessened. People started commenting that she looked well. Best of all, standing tall actually made her feel more energetic and positive. Slouching doesn't just make you look old, it makes you feel old. Every time you straighten up, you're telling your brain you still matter. The body shapes the mind as much as the mind shapes the body. Try this. Set 3 daily posture reminders, maybe when the phone rings, when you brush your teeth, and during commercials. Straighten up each time and notice how you feel. We have already reached the 5th habit. Habit 5. The slow drift into loneliness. Annie didn't notice how alone she'd become until the silence became too loud. Days would pass where her only conversation was with the supermarket cashier. She told herself she preferred the quiet, but the truth was harder to admit. She was disappearing from the world. Loneliness creeps up quietly after 60. Friends move away or pass on. Adult children get busy with their own lives. Work colleagues are history. But here's what doctors now know. Being lonely is as bad for your health as smoking a pack of cigarettes every day. It weakens your immune system, clouds your thinking, and even makes aches feel worse. Annie's turning point came when she forced herself to join a community garden. At first, she just nodded at other gardeners. Then came small talk about tomatoes. Before long, she was sharing tools and recipes. Slowly, her circle widened again, not to what it once was, but something new and precious. The hard truth is this: no one will knock down your door to save you from loneliness. You must choose to stay in the world, even when it feels easier to withdraw. Every small connection, a chat with a neighbour, a card game at the senior centre, is medicine for both heart and health. Try this. Reach out to one person today, even just a text saying, "Thinking of you." Repeat tomorrow. Watch how your world expands. Next, habit 6. Talking too much and gossiping.
Be careful of your words. You can't let them all out. You see, the 4th law states that your words reveal your feelings and you cannot let them all out. Proverbs 29:11 states that the fool utters all his mind, but the wise man keeps it until afterwards. Another Proverbs 17 verse 27 says, "Even a fool when he holds his peace is counted wise, and he that shutteth his lips is esteemed a man of understanding." Another Proverbs 13 verse 3 says, "He that keepeth his mouth keepeth his life, but he that openeth wide his mouth shall have destruction." You would be surprised at how many Proverbs talk about this little member here, the mouth. Be careful on that mouth, because your words affect your feelings and they affect the feelings of everyone around you. Some say it's your right to speak your mind. It is your obligation not to speak your mind.
Annie didn't realize she had become the kind of person who talks non-stop and shares too much about other people's lives. She just loved telling stories and chatting with friends. But then her granddaughter admitted, "Grandma, sometimes talking with you feels exhausting. You don't let anyone else speak, and then you share things about people that make me uncomfortable." The realization stung. Without meaning to, Annie had become that relative who dominates every discussion while casually revealing others' private matters. What felt like friendly chatting had actually become a combination of over-talking and gossiping that pushed people away. Here's the truth. When we do this too much, people don't enjoy talking with us. They don't avoid us because we're old. They avoid uncomfortable conversations. How Annie fixed it. She tried to listen as much as she talked. She asked herself, "Should I share this?" before telling others news. She learned it's okay to have quiet moments in conversations. Try this. Next time you talk to someone, tell your story, then ask about theirs. Think twice before saying something, especially when it is about someone else. And enjoy comfortable silence sometimes. Habit 7. Expecting special treatment. Annie had spent years being the reliable one, raising children, caring for aging parents, always putting others first. Now in her late 60s, she caught herself thinking, "It's my turn." She expected her grown kids to call every Sunday, got upset when friends didn't check in enough, felt hurt when her birthday wasn't celebrated the right way. This quiet expectation that others should repay our past sacrifices is dangerous. It turns love into debt and relationships into transactions. The hard truth? No one can meet all our unspoken needs. Annie's breakthrough came when she stopped waiting for others to make her happy. She planned her own birthday outing instead of hoping her kids would. She called friends when she felt lonely, rather than resenting them for not calling first. Slowly, she rediscovered the joy of giving without strings attached. The healthiest relationships flow freely in both directions. When we stop keeping score, we open ourselves to receiving more naturally. People want to be with us because they choose to, not because they owe us. Try this. Notice one expectation you're holding on to. Let it go for a week and see what happens. You might be surprised by what comes back to you. We move on to habit number 8, holding grudges.
I have seen many people who are physically sick because they're bitter about a terrible experience where they were badly treated. And when I say to them, "Have you forgiven?" often their response is, "They don't deserve forgiveness." And I say, "Absolutely right, but it's got nothing to do with it." And they will probably never know whether you've forgiven them or not. In fact, if you don't forgive them, you keep them chained to you. How many people do we meet who have been through a tragic experience and it's years later and they're still hanging on to it? Let it go. You can let it go.
Annie had been angry at her sister for 15 years over an inheritance dispute. She could recite every detail of the argument like it happened yesterday. But when her sister reached out after a minor health scare, Annie hesitated. Did she really want to carry this bitterness forever? Holding grudges is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to get sick. Annie realized her anger wasn't hurting her sister. It was only hurting herself. Every time she told the story of the fight, she relived the pain. Her blood pressure rose just thinking about it. Meanwhile, her sister had moved on, while Annie remained trapped in the past.
Dr. Carolyn Leaf, she takes it one step further. She says, when you forgive everyone, anyone who's ever misunderstood you, ever hurt you in any way, you turn painful past to dust. And that night, let's say you do it right now, today, then tonight when you go to sleep, glial cells are activated. And these are the brain's vacuum cleaners. And there are more glial cells than nerve cells. And they come along in the night while you're sleeping and they vacuum clean up those old nests and those old thorns that have been damaging for too long. Science now shows us that forgiveness has a physiological effect on the brain to spring clean the brain. Isn't that good news? Amazing.
The day Annie decided to let go, something surprising happened. She felt physically lighter, as if she'd put down heavy bags she didn't know she was carrying. She slept better that night than she had in years. When she finally met her sister for coffee, they didn't even discuss the old argument. There was too much present life to share. Harboring resentment ages us faster than time ever could. It shows in our tired eyes, our stiff shoulders, our joyless routines. Forgiveness isn't about saying what happened was okay. It's about choosing your peace over your pain. Try this. Think of one old grudge you're carrying. Write it down, then tear up the paper. Feel that weight lift? That's what freedom feels like. We are almost at the last habit. Habit number 9, resisting new experiences.
Every time you learn something new, another dendrite. Say you're a pianist, every time you learn a new piece. I like knitting fine lace. Every time I knit something new, a new pattern. My husband recently, or a few years ago, learnt to fly a helicopter. I think a lot of new dendrites came because he said when he learnt the Bell 47, that's a manual. He said you're doing 5 different things at once. One with one right foot, left hand, 2 things with the right hand, all at once. His teacher had never met a 50-year-old man who got his solo as quickly as the young men. How many 50-year-old men aren't doing all that? Michael did have some drugs and some marijuana in his youth, so he has sustained a bit of damage, but he's obviously developed what remains. That's the good news. 70,000 dendrites. That's why we should never stop learning. Never stop learning.
Annie caught herself saying it all the time now. I'm too old for that. Too old to try new restaurants, to learn new dances, or to travel anywhere unfamiliar. Without realizing it, Annie was building a cage around herself with those 4 little words. The more she declared herself too old for things, the older she actually felt. Her world kept shrinking. Fewer new experiences, fewer reasons to get excited about tomorrow. Everything changed when her neighbour Ruth, who was 5 years older, invited Annie to a salsa dancing class. Annie's first reaction was to laugh. At our age, she said. But Ruth's response stuck with her. What's the alternative? Sitting home waiting to get older? That first class was awkward and silly, but something wonderful happened. For 1 hour, Annie didn't feel old. She felt alive. Annie discovered an important truth. We don't stop doing things because we get old. We get old because we stop doing things. Every time we say, I'm too old, we give away a piece of our vitality. The things that keep us young, laughter, learning, moving our bodies, don't actually have an age limit. Try this today. Catch yourself every time you start to say or think, I'm too old for that. Ask instead, why not try? You might be surprised how much life is still waiting for you. Finally, habit number 10, the unhealthy daily grind.
Many people are aging too young, and there can be several reasons for it, and one of them is using coffee. When a person has a cup of coffee, it's like they've created a crisis. And that's why the person feels good, because in a crisis you're moving. But how would you feel if you had 3 or 4 crises every day?
Annie used to start every morning with 3 strong coffees, doing small chores at home, and ended her day slumped in front of the TV. "I've earned my rest," she'd say, ignoring how sluggish she felt, how her clothes fit tighter, and how her skin had lost its glow. Her idea of exercise was walking to the fridge. What seemed like harmless daily routines were quietly chipping away at her health. Many older adults fall into this trap. We tell ourselves we're too tired to move. But inactivity actually drains our energy more. The less we move, the harder movement becomes. Annie didn't realize how much these habits aged her until she saw a photo from a few years before. Her face had lost its brightness, and even her posture looked weaker. Annie's wake-up call came when her doctor said, "Your body is aging faster than you are because of how you treat it." She started small, swapping 1 coffee for herbal tea, doing a 15 minutes high-intensity interval training every day after meals. Within weeks, her energy improved more than any caffeine boost could provide. She felt more positive, productive, and her skin started to improve. Try this. Replace 1 unhealthy habit this week. Stand during TV commercials, for example. Your future self will thank you. That's it for today, ladies. Every habit we've talked about today adds unnecessary years to your life, not just on your face, but in how you feel and how the world treats you. But here's the good news. You hold the power to slow it down. Small shifts. Dressing up, standing taller, speaking kinder, choosing movement over stagnation, don't just make you look younger, they help you feel younger too. So take what resonated with you today and start with just 1 change. Notice how it leads to a positive transformation. If this helped you, hit like, share it with a friend who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more honest conversations about how to age gracefully. Because we, senior women, got this.